when the world has got you down. And
Alzheimer's sucks. It's an equal opportunity disease that chips away at everything we hold dear. And to date, there's no cure. So until there is, we continue to fight with the most powerful tool in our arsenal, love. This is Love Conquers Alls, a real and really positive podcast that takes a deep dive into everything Alzheimer's, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And now, here are your hosts, Susie Singer-Carter and me, Don Priest.
Hello, everybody. I'm Susie Singer-Carter.
And I'm Don Priest, and this is Love Conquers Alls. Hello, Susan.
Hello, Donald. We're having technical
happening?
Difficulties today.
We have been. We've got gremlins. We have gremlins in our system. So
what's going on? It's all because you had to move locations.
I know. This is not my normal location. My where you've seen me I think everything but one episode it will no longer be. We've moved our offices, and therefore starting next time you see me, I'll be in a different location. But for right now, I'm in a secret location, which is also known as my bedroom.
which is a lot of people's secret location.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
which wasn't so secret, but no. So a little bit different look and sound today, but same fabulous
same
content.
Yes.
So anything new?
And once again, I just want to say, I want to do a shout out to our other podcast that we are so proud of, which is I Love This Fur. If you like comedy horror, or if you just like to laugh, it's like a Bridesmaids meets American Werewolf in London. It's two B movie stars who fight movie monsters by day and real monsters at night, and it's girl power, and it's funny, and our acting ensemble is incredible. We have over 35 actors, and all started in COVID, and we will be featured on Stitcher's homepage this coming week for their spooky, creepy, true crime week. We're not really true crime because it's really fantasy, but it's it's not real, but it's not true, but it's real. As
right.
Don would say, right?
Yeah, I don't know why I say that, because it's not real either.
I don't know either. We're just trying to fit in.
Well, it's real funny, and it's real scary, so I guess it's real.
Yeah, so enjoy it. If you have watched The Witcher or Industry on HBO, Adam Levy is our lead, and he's phenomenal, and you'll be mesmerized by him because he's so charming and so delightful and hilarious and wry, and he's British, so... Yeah. What more do I need to say?
And Susie stars as one of the leads also, and she's amazing in it, along with Dawn Marie Ferrara and so many more. It's fun, so just check it out. It's on all the platforms. We
have a great guest on. I've followed this woman now for, in our community on Instagram, and I was like, okay, she's an Alzheimer's daughter, like me, Alzheimer's daughters. It's not for the weak at heart, okay? Tell us about her, Dawn.
Well, Jennifer Fink is not only the daughter, she's also the granddaughter and great-granddaughter of women who have suffered from Alzheimer's or other cognitive impairment. Looking for answers on how not to become the fourth generation with this problem, while also seeking ways to connect better with her mother, has led her on an interesting journey with her new passion, which is podcasting. After the death of her father, caring for her mother became a much bigger part of her life. So Jennifer decided she would create a supportive podcast that caregivers of Alzheimer's patients need and deserve. And from that sprung Fading Memories. And we can't wait to hear more about it. So let's say hello to Jennifer Fink. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, thanks for having me today.
Thanks for having us have you. We're excited. So excited. And I'm not kidding. I've been following you, since I started. And I get to see like how we all get to bring different information, different perspectives, even though we're all connected. And I love that I get to have you on our show now. I'm excited about it, and the fact that you've gone through, like Dawn just mentioned, you are the fourth generation following dementia, Alzheimer's, and I'm with you. I want to avoid it like no other, and I am on that journey with you, and I'm a warrior as well. and we need to figure out how to circumvent this and fast, because I don't have time to fool around here, guys. Tell me a little bit about your mom. What is the journey that you have been on so far?
Well, my mom probably had Alzheimer's for 20 years, possibly longer, because she wasn't officially diagnosed until she was 69 and a half. And that was mostly because she resisted doing some of the testing. And by the time she was, quote, officially diagnosed, the rest of us were like, yeah, tell us something we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't need a diagnosis, because by that point, it was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, she was like definitely in the middle stages. We had a photography studio and 1 hour film processing business from 1990 to 2005, and in that time I had to start in a clandestine way supervising her, because I would find more and more orders that she would take from clients with no directions, no due dates, no nothing. And it was like, okay, this is really embarrassing to have to call up Susie and say, oh yeah, hey, I'm not really sure what my mom meant by this here. You try to make up
Yep.
some excuse, not instead of, I think my mom's losing her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my mom's
And
gone
then
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I'm not sure what their problem is, but then there was one day, because my mom did a lot of the retouching on portraits. I did the photography, she did the retouching, we had employees. And one day I pick up the phone, it's a really good client, never ever heard an unpleasant word coming out of her mouth, and she dropped so many F-bombs, I was like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? She was so frustrated with my mom. It was just like, and I'm thinking, this one was a really good client. What the heck? She's ordering substantial amount of money in portraits. Like, what the hell, Mom? And so that point, I was like, I gotta pay attention to what she's doing and saying to people. And basically, I always have to know what somebody's asked her to do or what she's told somebody she would do. That way I don't get somebody dropping F-bombs on me on the phone. I mean, I was shocked.
Right. Yeah.
She was a local realtor, and it's just, I mean, I'd never heard her swear.
Right.
And so to hear that particular language is like,
Wow.
okay, I get it.
My metaphor for dementia is Benjamin Button, and I really feel like like I have almost a 2-year-old granddaughter right now, and I say that they're crossing. They're crossing the road. They're passing each other. How you doing? And my Eden, my little one, is getting more abilities as my mom's losing her skills. Okay, and so with that, what's so familiar between the two of them, or similar, is that they both have no social filters.
That's true. I had a gal on recently, that show hasn't aired yet, and she was talking about the now and then photos, because my mom thought I was her best friend, which is totally fine. I mean,
Sure.
could be worse, right?
Right.
And I know a lot of people get really devastated when their parent forgets the relationship, which I understand to a point, but not having actually felt that way. It, to me, it's like there are bigger things to get upset about, I think. I don't know, that sounds really harsh. I had lost 100 pounds, so I knew that the person my mother saw in front of her wasn't the person that was in her memory, because what I saw in the mirror wasn't the person that was in my memory. So I would look in the mirror and think, holy Toledo, or I'd see old photo and a new photo, and I'd be like, whoa, because obviously it took me a couple years to lose that much weight.
Good on you,
So
though. That's amazing. Good for you.
Yeah, the fact that you replace, daughter with best friend, that's not terrible.
The only challenge that being her best friend is that we're not necessarily a huggy, physically touchy family. And so there was definitely this formality barrier. I would try to give her a hug and it just was awkward.
Yeah. Interesting, because my friend, a friend of mine, I'll do a shout out to my friend Monique, because she'll probably be listening to this. And she's really the motivation for our topic today, which is hygiene. And I know it sounds so, if you haven't been in this community for a while, you'd think, wow, well, that's kind of boring. But it really isn't, because when when a loved one who has dementia or Alzheimer starts to really, get into their disease, that's one of the first things to go. And they're in denial about it, right? So, and my girlfriend is experienced that with her father right now. And what made me think of it is that she also was sharing with me that her father thinks she's one of his ex-girlfriends. which is an awkward thing to be. Yeah. And so, it was interesting when she asked me, she goes, "Do you have a podcast on hygiene?" And I said, "I don't. I don't even remember touching on it, honestly." And, maybe because it's not that glamorous and people don't really want to talk about, but I think I really think it's important because, one of the things that we all deal with is there are a lot of people that go through dementia in the beginning, they forget that they haven't bathed, they forget that they haven't brushed their teeth, they forget that they haven't changed their clothes. And more than that, they get obstinate. It's like, how dare you? Of course, I shower every day. How dare you? And it's like, well, you do, but today you forgot. And it's been a week, right? And so how do we Jennifer, give us some, give us some of your sage advice or what you've learned along the way, because I know my friend Monique is going through this right now with her dad. He hasn't changed his clothes. He doesn't want to change his clothes. He doesn't want to shower. He doesn't want to hear about it. So what can we do?
Well, I have an answer for that, but I'm going to start with a story.
Okay.
So my mom lived in a memory care residence, and I would go visit once a week. And the next day after a visit with my mom, where I took her out a lot to go to the park and places where she could watch kids. And I got in my car to go to the gym. That was, back in the old days, the before times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before the pandemic, before the Peloton.
Yes.
And I got in my car and I'm like, ugh, why does my car smell like old lady nursing home?
Oh.
It's bleh.
Yeah. And it sounds really gross, but it's so familiar when you say that, old lady. Everyone knows that, right? We all know what that is.
So I went back to the care home the next week and I said, "Is mom giving you trouble with showering or with changing clothes?" And she said, "Oh, yes, and showering too." And what I had found out in that conversation was they had switched my mom to afternoon showers. And I'm like, "Oh, no. Back to mornings." I realize why you get... My mom, she would, get up, breakfast, do some chores. Us girls would go to school. Mom would take a shower probably before lunch. That was her routine. So I said, you got to move her back to the morning. And what most of us don't realize, and I'm not really sure why, and we're all in California, so we're just all going to have to embrace this real soon if it doesn't rain this year, is we don't need to shower every single day unless you get actually dirty or actually sweaty. Like, I work out almost every day, so I probably do need to shower every day. I might be able to use the rinseless wipes, but we're not going there yet. So that's the first thing, is and it's actually not really great for their skin as they're aging to shower them every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good to know. So take note on that, everybody, because that's good to know. The only thing is that if they aren't mobile, then they kind of need to be cleansed in, because they're sitting a lot and they're sitting in their own, excretions. So. Yeah. We got to get real, you guys. We got to get real. We got to talk about it.
Well, see, my mom was pretty good. She didn't need the Depends until the last year of her life. And when she was with me, we never had an issue with, bowel movement. So she still had enough sensation and control. It was just where is the bathroom? And dear Lord, taking her into a public restroom was a freaking nightmare because, just muscle memory. She'd lock the door on the stall, and then every time we'd go to the dentist, she'd be like, "I need to go to the bathroom." She was so obnoxious about it. It was like, yes, I think everybody around the block just heard that. Thank you. And
how many times did you crawl under the stall?
There were times I thought, lady, if I got to shimmy under this friggin' stall to unlock this door, you may just not get allowed in the bathroom. Because I'm like, it was in a dental office, so it was fine. But I'm like, I I don't want to shimmy across the floor. First off, I got crappy knees. And I don't can only imagine what she would have thought. But I tried one time to just hold the door closed for her, and she's like, I got it. She's like, ugh. She was terrible about accepting help, which was one of the reasons that she ended up breaking her leg. Fortunately, I could talk her through she could almost remember how to get it unlocked, but it was probably a minute or two of frustration on both sides of the door. So find those family bathrooms and places that don't have the unisex one room bathroom for everybody. Please make them.
Yes.
Because I don't want to shimmy under the stalls.
Yes, let's say that again. Like if anybody's listening, like if you're building bathrooms in a public place, make sure you have these like big stalls and the family ones, because those are so important. You have them for children, let's have them for our adults that have dementia and Alzheimer's. It's so important.
Exactly. So the second thing that I learned with this incident, she really loved this sweater. It was bright, it was black and bright pink with flowers on it. It was really pretty. And somebody said, buy 5 of the same shirt, 5 of the same pants, and then the care staff can just switch them out and they won't know that it's different. Much easier for men.
Love it.
Did not work for Mom because I didn't know where that sweater came from. Couldn't even find one similar. So what I did was she went from like a gigantic closet double hang plus the one in my old bedroom of clothes to like a 2-foot one swing door closet. So I thought, okay, we've way pared down her stuff. I took out we're in California, so people who are listening in other parts of the country, just deal with it. I took out the winter clothes and just left in the short sleeve shirts and the summer clothes. And then I switched them around, probably around Thanksgiving, so that it was, more the sweaters and the long pants and all that stuff. So that there was really not that much choice in her closet. Yeah. Because, you look, sometimes, how many times do we go through our closet and we look and we're like, oh, I have nothing to wear, but there's 50 shirts and stuff. It's just, sometimes we default to our favorite. That's what they're doing. So she was not great with showers when she was, in the beginning she was pretty good. You'd have to remind her and she would do it, but that quickly became needing help. And then it took 2 people to help her because she didn't want help and she was fighting it. So we're going back to them aging in reverse. So when you have an infant, you sponge bath them, right? Right. And then you do the little bathing in the sink or the little baby tub thing. My daughter's almost 30, so, we're like scraping the rust off those brain cells. Yeah. And then you put them in like a couple of inches of water in the tub, and then they eventually graduate to independent showering. So now if they're not capable of independent showering, maybe you can stand outside the shower and encourage. I'm hoping as his ex-girlfriend, your friend is not being asked to do things that I've heard those stories. Yikes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was very glad I never had to deal with any of that. Not from my mom or any of the other male residents.
Yeah, I did.
And the one thing that I've learned, that's with your mom?
No, with the male residents. I always tell this story. I had this one guy who was in love with me named Jack, who was 95. And I'll just give you the button. He said, "We're not going to have sex, are we, Susie?" And I go, No. He goes, "Will you scratch my back?" I go, I'll scratch your back.
As long as that's not a metaphor for something
Yeah.
else. Okay,
he really meant it. I was like,
well, that's good.
The back was still the back, yeah.
The back was still the back. It was just, it is, there's a lot of humor to be honed.
Definitely embrace the humor, because it's either that or you're going to run crying into the parking lot, which I've only did a couple of times.
Yes, indeed.
So anyway, in the aging backwards, okay, so they can't independently shower, but maybe you can help them with encouragement. And then you might just have to hand them the rag and explain what they need to do. And this is what I've just learned recently, that it's not uncommon for the water hitting their skin to feel like needles and be painful.
Oh.
And I don't know if you guys are on Twitter, but there's a gal named Janice Swink. She has frontal temporal dementia, which sounds like a horrifying nightmare because she is really aware of everything that's happening to her. She gets hallucinations. She knows they're hallucinations, but they're still terrifying. So, thank you, no. But they redid their master bathroom so that it was safer for her. And prior to that, she just posts about her life on Twitter. And it's a good thing because she's a huge advocate. But she was saying that she doesn't like to shower anymore, so she washes her hair in the kitchen sink, and she uses rinseless wipes. Okay, rinseless wipes are going to be our friend. But she confirmed that the water hitting the skin is like needles, and it's very not comfortable.
Wow.
Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had one of those crappy shower heads where it just kind of sprays really hard on you. You're like, I don't really like this. I feel like I'm getting kind of hose blasted here. Yeah, you know.
I went to a spa and had that happen. I had a spa that did that to me once. They do this thing where they hose you down. It's like a salt scrub, and then they hose you with a hose. I literally felt like I was a dog being groomed, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, I'll have to hear that one someday because I'm a total dog person. So I was like, and I literally have blasted her comment all over the internet because so many people fight with their loved ones over showering. And this is what happened with my mom. You know, she was fighting with the care staff, and they say she reached for her clothes and slipped and broke her legs. Like, not my mom. No, she went, bam. I mean, you know, no fault of the care staff. I really honestly think we need a complete financial shift, model shift, because they're expensive as hell, and the staff doesn't get paid worth beans. All of the staff that I knew, like 2 of the ones that were there the entire time my mom was there, they worked other jobs. And one gal was like in her late 40s. She was almost my age. I'm like, I can't work 12, 15-hour days. I guess I'm a lazy butt, you know?
And then you have somebody who's, you know, basically coming off of an 8-hour shift, caring for these people. You know, they're tired. They're, you know, they're not mentally and physically, and that's not good for anybody, you know, the staff or the
no. So we need like more hands-on so that they can spend more time and they can do some of these things like I'm about to explain. So we're aging backwards in our abilities. Now we're not good at independent showering. The other thing that, in talking to Janice and reading her posts, was that they redid their bathroom, so it had the grab bars in the shower. It had, you know, the 0 threshold, very safe. She used it a couple times. The first time she loved it. The second time was like, I don't like this. I'm not doing this anymore. And I thought the shower in the care home my mom was in was one of those 0 threshold, white floor, walls, and ceiling. Now, that's boring, right? And it's also like my mom's visual processing was crap. And I can only imagine walking into this like white void, and then the water's hitting you. You can't anticipate the water. I mean, can you imagine, like, you're like in like almost sensory deprivation, and then psh, water right in your face or on the back of your head or whatever, or just on your body, and it's startling. And, you know, does that sound like a shower you want to do?
No, it sounds like prison.
So I've recently,
it's
and, you know, they had the little shower seat, which was all medicinal looking, and it, you know, I don't know how you can design them to be prettier but still safe and practical.
You're so right, Jennifer, because again, the Benjamin Button theory. It's like we make things attractive, like even, you know, potties for little kids, training potties. We make them cute, we make them pretty, we make them fun, we make them inviting. Why wouldn't we do that? Like, it's not like suddenly because you have dementia, you don't have an aesthetic memory, or, you know, it's not even memory. It's even if you're living moment to moment, that looks exciting, that looks inviting, that looks fun. Why not? You're so right.
Most kids' toys are bright. There's a lot of contrast, you know, so I think that would have helped my mom.
And what about like smells and like aromatherapy and things like that? Like, why not, you know, find out what their past, you know, if it's, you know, if you're a caregiver and you don't know this person, find out a little bit about what they like. Do they like, a gardenia smell? Do they like jasmine? Do they like, something that actually is attractive, patchouli, whatever, something that makes them feel like a visceral kind of memory of something good?
Well, and you can use essential oils and aromatherapy to kind of help set the mood. So if your person is still physically able to assist with the shower, okay, first off, let's make it a little more attractive, make it more enjoyable. But if you're also, diffusing an essential oil like of lavender, or even eucalyptus helps like clear the sinuses. Or a citrusy oil. A citrusy oil is going to kind of stimulate, like, they're going to make you more active. Obviously, lavender is going to like make you relax. So you kind of got to figure out which one works better. You don't necessarily want them to relax them too much in the morning, because then if they take a nap, then they're going to be up at night. But one of the things that one of my upcoming guests who I just recorded with this week is Dr. Jennifer Stetler, and she's got a new book coming out this month called The Busy Caregiver's Guide to Advanced Alzheimer's. And one of the things we talked about was actually giving them baths. And I'm like, my mom's care home didn't have any bathtubs. She was never a bath person, so I was kind of curious as to whether she would have accepted that more. But it's more relaxing. You don't fear falling. You don't have water pummeling you on the back of the head or in your face. And, it's going to clean some areas that might need a little more attention that we don't want to give attention to. So I'm like, she said more care residences are starting to put in baths just for this reason, because you don't give a 5-year-old a shower.
No.
Not usually. I don't remember doing that.
Right.
And so they do an independent bath.
Right.
So, and if you give them brightly colored loofahs, like lime green is a color, it's a long color wave, so we see that. And it's stimulating, but not in a aggressive way, like red. So you could do maybe a teal or a lime green bathroom, which, like I said, that kind of that's not, I love those colors, but more for shirts, not for bathrooms. But there's just ways of making it more enjoyable.
Right.
Play a little bit of their favorite music.
Well, that's as I say. Why not have the filled with music and make it a positive overall experience? That they walk in and it's colorful and it's filled with music, and there's pink bubble bath, and why just make it a thing that they would actually want to do.
Agreed. I mean, we do it with children. Again, I just say that, and it's not out of disrespect. It's out of respecting the stage that they're at and the skills that they have, and that's what we're doing. It's really out of respect. And so say someone like my friend has a father who's still very mobile and probably doesn't think there's much that wrong with him. Like, I'm in a facility, but look at all these old people here, right?
I'm not like these guys. Yeah, my mom said that the day we moved her in. She's like, I don't belong here. And I'm thinking, guess what, honey? You do.
Because we always see, we see out of our 16-year-old eyes, always.
That is very true.
How do we deal with somebody, one, who's a man who isn't used to taking baths, right? So how can we make it inviting, or how can they encourage him at this stage to take care of his hygiene? How can they do it? And I've seen, I have only seen my mother, up close and personal with this issue. So I know, though, from visiting her and getting to know the male residents, that they can be a much more, there's a stronger sort of, resistance.
There's a pride involved. There's, it's like, and especially if you have a father with, now if he thinks it's his ex-girlfriend, but there's times where it's just not the right situation for a family member to be doing this for them. It's not, they have their dignity and pride that is overwhelming, and it's much better if it's somebody they don't know. But as a family member, you say, well, I should be doing this and everything. But, how do we get past that? How do we get past the guilt of not doing it? Or just, what if you don't have the resources to go and just say, oh, I'll just get a caregiver to come in and do it? Well, I don't have that
But
kind
even
of money.
and to add to that, Don, is like, how do you, even if you are there, how do you get them to do that? How do you
Yeah.
encourage them without them being resistant when they're in that stage where it's like, how dare you? Which I
They're
remember my
resistant
mother saying to
everything,
me,
yeah.
yeah, how dare you? I shower every day. What can we do to encourage that?
So does he shower, if somebody can get him into that process, is he somewhat independent still, or needs?
I
Or does
believe he
need
is.
some-
Let's just assume that he is. I'm pretty sure he is.
Well, the one thing I did with my mom one day was not long after the conversation with the care staff about changing clothes and showering and getting back her into the morning showers. We had gone to the local, it's a swimming hole / pool. It's kind of a unique hybrid kind of situation, and we waded through the water, and we were sitting on the edge watching kids. That's what we did. And when we got back, we were back early enough that they weren't getting residents ready for the dinner meal. And I knew that she was giving them a hard time, and they may have said something to the effect of why she wouldn't let me shower her this morning. So I was like, oh, you know what? You wanted to shower before dinner to get the chlorine off. I did? Yeah, you got some time. And I just kept reminding her that it was her idea. And this is the only time that I assisted with a shower, but I got her in the shower. I sat her on the ugly medical chair, and I, basically helped her wash. I would put the soap in the rag and say, oh, make sure you get this arm because it's got the sunscreen on it. Oh, did you get the sunscreen off the other arm? Blah, blah, blah. And then I washed her hair, and I just basically just said, excuse me, I forgot exactly how I said something like, oh, you know what? Let me wash your hair. I bet you it'll feel really nice. So that I just really massaged it. She and I both had like the same kind of hair, just like tons of it. I mean, our hair is like thick, like a person that has thick hair, but we don't have thick strands. We have just tons of it. But hers had thinned, and so I tried to make it more of a massage kind of thing. And then, being a mom myself, I knew to rinse her hair from front to back, but I've also learned now to do it back to front with them leaning over so that you'll get water in their face. You might want to try a couple of those things. So I would suggest to your friend is to remind him of why you told me you wanted to shower because you've been working in the garden or working on the car, whatever fits into his memory.
Well, he's a
sound like-
ladies'
yeah,
man.
it's
How about
his idea. Yeah.
how about get creative, Monique? You're a writer. Get creative. It's like you got a date tonight. I think you should spruce that.
Yeah.
That would be. It sounds to me like that would work well with him.
Yeah.
Just from
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you've said.
But also making
Yeah,
it that
yeah.
it was their idea. It was something they came,
Yeah.
so it's like, and you know what? People might say, oh, you're lying to them. It's like, no. We are not going to worry about that at this
We're
point.
past that. We're
Yeah,
past that.
this is not lying. This is
You know
for
what?
their
That's
own
a good
benefit.
idea. I like that idea a lot. Making it come from them. So it's like, oh, you know what? It's 6:00. You asked me to remind you to take a shower.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Because
yeah.
you are feeling
you
the
love doing it.
creativeness
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
get
asked me
creative.
and-
yeah.
He's really resisting. Get the rinseless wipes. I know I've shared what Janice uses all the time, but I'm sure you can find your own preferred version on our favorite company to hate on Amazon. But you could basically say, oh, let me try this out on your arm and just make it like, I don't know, maybe with him you might want to make it a little sensual. With my mom, I would have tried to make it just, like a nice feeling kind of thing. But if they don't need, bits and crevices cleaned out, because sometimes those things need a little extra attention, there is no reason not to use a rinseless wipe. And you can just start with, one arm and then, maybe put lotion on. Just make it like a massage and make it pleasurable, and then I don't know. I always had a little bit of an issue. My mom had more containers of deodorant, and closer to the end, it was like, apparently the caregiver doesn't fight with her about that one. And she never got really stinky, but occasionally it'd be like, you don't smell quite. It was that old lady nursing home smell.
Yeah. How to avoid the old lady nursing home smell. This is the name of this episode.
Don't get old. Don't move into assisted living. Like
I do remember. Yeah.
My grandmother lived to 103, so I plan on getting old.
Good. Yeah. God willing. No, I mean, I remember my stepfather, who was 12 years older than my mom, and they had moved into a lightly assisted, a community, which was, like their own sort of apartment. And he was he was cognitively perfect, but, he couldn't see or hear worth crap. And my mom was physically perfect, but couldn't remember. So he would, go, your mother's hair needs some... It doesn't smell good. And I'd go, well, Georgie, you need to remind her, because she doesn't remember. And she would hate that, because my mom is such a clean freak. I mean, honestly, to think that her hair didn't smell good, she would have been devastated. All she needed was a reminder. So I think that, what you're saying is find whatever way that you can get them on board on the wash train, because whether it's you got a date, or you told me to remind you, or mom, you know how you don't like when your hair smells, it's smelling. What? I think we have to resort to whatever will work, and not fight with them, because fighting with them is going to do nothing but accelerate the negative. You can't say just get in the shower like you want to do. Come on, you're an adult, get in the goddamn shower. You can't do that. It doesn't work. You feel like it. You get frustrated. I understand. I have. My mom's 5 foot tall. I wanted to pick her up. I almost picked her up one day. I was like, I can carry you. I can carry you upstairs. But it's like, it can be frustrating. So you want to de-escalate that frustration for yourself and for them.
Yeah, if you make the whole thing a negative fight, why the hell would they do it again? No.
And I think also to remember, you don't have to, if you find something that works, it's probably going to work every time. In that, because they will not remember that was what you said last time. And if it worked then, they're going to be in different moods. It may not work, but you could probably find one or two things that work. And not worry about, I already told them that. I already said, hey, we're going out to whatever. They're not going to remember that.
Yeah.
So, and it should also hopefully work. Brushing your teeth. That's another one. They're not going to remember if they brush their teeth or not. And that's so important. I mean, gum health and dental health is so important.
One thing with brushing teeth is if you do it at the same time with them.
That's what I was going to say. Let's brush our teeth. Let's do it and make it a thing that it's like, well, you're doing this, must not be a big deal. So I think that's super important. Now, obviously, you're not going to shower together.
And you have to choose your battles, right? We have to choose our battles. I know that, my mom has dentures, and at some point, the facility where she's at, which is the Jewish home, and it's such an amazing facility. She doesn't really, she has a lot of her food is now, soft foods and things like that. So they don't argue with her anymore about it. Leave them out. Who cares? You have to right? Sometimes you just have to choose your battles. So you were saying with the waterless wipes, we have to choose our battles. Life is different. This is the new normal. So if they don't, right? So if you can't, nothing's going to be perfect. And you use every trick that you can that works for your loved one. And that's what you do. That keeps the anxiety at the minimum. That's the main goal, is to keep
do the best you can.
Anxiety.
Do the best you can.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. And something is better than nothing, at least.
And don't give up, because I think that there is a way to, redirect, get them out of their anxiety, and then try it again, right? So you
Exactly.
redirect, and they get anxious. God damn it, leave me alone. I don't want to take a shower. I'm not going in there. Great. Oh, by the way, I wanted to show you this. What do you think of this plant over here? Do you think this is a good place? Whatever. Redirect, and then come on back and go, oh, by the way, it's time to shower. You asked me to remind you. So I think that those are good, at least that's worked for me.
I came up with a thought for baths, especially for men, I think, but I think this is more unisex. Especially if you have a jetted tub, which I currently do not. I'm not actually a super huge fan of those, but that's irrelevant. Is you could, maybe she could encourage her dad to, quote, check out the new spa tub, and can you make sure this works right? And find excuses like, give him a glass of wine and sit him in the tub and make it like, like you're sitting in the hot tub, back in those days. And that might get him more accustomed to actually sitting in the bath.
Let's say someone like Monique's dad, who's living in an assisted living now, and he's still pretty, mobile and independent in that way. I'm sure that the caregivers are probably coming up against him, and her as the daughter and her sister and her brothers, they're not there all the time. So that's another scenario where you have to figure out a way to talk to the caregivers that are there and say, here's his history. Here's what he likes. He likes this music. He hates baths. He likes this soap. Things that they can that make them feel that they're in a safe place, and routine.
And I think that's really
Jennifer?
communicate with the caregivers, that communication, because I think some people think, oh, they're professionals, they'll know how to do it. They have their tricks. It's like their tricks don't work on everybody. So I think that is so important to communicate with the facility or the caregivers themselves.
I think also, like I did, was I made a list of my mother's, what she's like. I've given it to them. Now, we can't control if they actually will abide by it, the caregivers, but if you can make relationships with the caregivers, like I have some really nice relationships, and this is the music. I provide them everything that I think that they'll need to make my mom's life better.
I think in your friend's case, if they've got enough family members that are visiting, maybe there's one that would be comfortable and successful in getting him showered, that could just be part of their visit, part of their routine, removing some of the challenges for the care staff, and then just leave it up like one shower a week would be the family's responsibility. And then maybe the care staff can just use the rinseless wipes or just do the encouraging, and they only get one shower a week. 2 is better. 1 is better than 0. So that's my other thought is.
So, and also with the clothes, like they don't change their clothes like you were saying. So how about, make it easy on the care staff, like you said, make it easy, because yes, our infrastructure sucks right now. That systemically is a big fat mess. So until that gets straightened out, until we can advocate and make some real changes, we as caregivers, adjacent, since if they're living in a home, we have to, our best thing that we could do is make it easy for them to be cared for. So maybe we provide them with 7 different outfits. We know that this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They don't have to dress our mom or dad or husband or wife, but at least here's your Tuesday outfit. It's Granimals or whatever it was. It's like, yep. We have
Lord,
to.
I remember those.
right? But it's like, that's the only choice they have. That's the choice they're going to use.
And especially
right?
for men, they get comfortable in the khaki pants and the flannel shirt. So buy 5 pants and 5 of the same everything. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried this experiment. But if you do the binoculars on your eyes, and you guys are gonna have to watch the video for this one. Now look down. Can you see your chest?
Nope.
Nope. So that's how they see things. So if you got a big splotch of spaghetti sauce across your front, you're not gonna see it.
You're gonna know it, yeah.
I love that. And it's when you have kids, and if they don't, I always say choose your battles. When my friends say, what did you do? My daughter will only eat, peanut butter and jelly. I go, great. She's eating every day then. Not going to hurt her. Let her eat what she likes. Right now, that's her thing. It's,
Eventually she'll change.
You can hide.
Yeah.
She'll change. I mean, why argue the facts? So if he likes his khaki pants, like you said, Jennifer, that's a great idea. Get 7 pairs of them, and just ask the staff, please, can you take the dirty ones away at night, and just make sure that there's clean ones. That's not hard to do for them, and you're making their job easier.
And if it's the same clothes, your loved one's not going to know that the clothes they folded neatly and put on the chair by the bed, they're not going to know it's gone. And we were talking about, because I need adult bibs. I've needed adult bibs my whole life. But
Girlfriend,
I have seen
me too.
I always say, well, one, you're feeding the girls.
And my hair is like a magnet for everything. Like food, I'll always, my daughters are like, Mom, I'm like, okay, I know it. I just know, it's sensual eating. Leave me alone.
I like that term. But I've seen online where they take like old shirts. I've seen a lot of it with men's shirts, but they do it with women's shirts, and they basically turn them into like a clothing covering for eating. And then you're not putting a bib on an adult, because like my mom probably would have bitch slapped you if you put a bib on her. just
oh my God, I love that tip. That's a great tip.
I can't remember where I saw it, but I'm sure, Google, Etsy, whatever, you'll find them. Or,
make your own.
I would say it's not that difficult.
No, take an old shirt of theirs. Yeah, take an old shirt of theirs. Why not? And just put it on them.
Or just
that's
this one,
a great idea.
They took the sleeves off. So basically the front, I forgot exactly how it was. If I find it, I will share it again on my social media, my Instagram account. But it was just really smart. And like I said, I'm sure it's easy to find, like adult dignity bibs or something is the search term I would use. But yeah, it's just, if you put something that looks like a shirt on them, then they're not going to fight with you, and then you take it off and throw it in the laundry. And then maybe you have less clothing issues because now their shirt's not dirty because they slopped all over themselves for their sensual eating.
So great. I love that. I love that. You could take an old shirt of theirs that feels familiar. I'm a crafty girl, so to me, the first thing I think of is cut the sleeves off, right? You don't need the sleeves. Cut the sleeves off and make it easy for them to just get their arms through, and then keep the buttons in the back, right? Because that way, because if you have to button it, it'll still,
or Velcro.
Yeah, I would
just use
or
Velcro
it, or one snap or a string, whatever it is. But that sounds wonderful. Plus, it's cute.
Well, it's recycling. So, hello, if you've been to a thrift store, I walked into a thrift store, several years ago with a friend of mine, and it was like, this is like a warehouse of old clothes. So, like, we got to stop just tossing, old clothes. And what I think I would do is stitch the buttons, the placket down, take the sleeves off, stitch the placket down, and then just attach ties. So you could be like, oh,
so
here's
it looks
your
like a
dinner
real shirt. Yes, I like that
buttons.
too. That looks great. That sounds great. Let's do that, you guys. That sounds amazing. Share, if you do it, share it on our social media so we can show people what you did. Yeah, do that, because I think that's a great idea.
I know there's accounts on Instagram that I follow that do that. So I hope they're listening to at least one of our podcasts so they can share it with me again or you.
We'll put it in the show notes. I'll put your stuff, your connection, all your links will be in the show notes, and you guys will know, mine will be in the show notes, and Dawn, I'm sure you're going to go right after the show and start making them.
Well, yes, for sure. I'll make them, or we can go back to the original use. Well, the original use of a tie was to protect. Men would put on ties to protect their clothing, so everyone can start wearing ties, just really wide ones.
Yeah, really wide ties.
Triple wide.
That's adorable too.
They
what
can't
if it's
see straight
it's
down,
a businessman?
Yeah. And it does help to remember what they did as a living, what they did, prior to their disease, and to kind of work with them. Because sometimes I was just reading a story about a gal who would, and I'm going to do this so the audience can hear, she would tap on the table before a meal, which would drive me freaking right up the wall in about 15 seconds. And she was a stenographer, a court stenographer, as an adult, working person, whatever the hell we call it. I don't know. In her younger years, none of those terms sound right. So when they sat her down at a table, she'd start that tapping noise, which irritated other residents, and now you got an issue. So they made sure, as they wheeled her to the dining table, that her food was it's like, she came, food came. It was like, boom. That way she wasn't annoying people with the whole, tapping on the table.
Right. And, okay, so
it's like, it's easy to solve problems when you kind of think, like, where are they in their history?
Yes.
Absolutely. So let's recap. So we want to make it attractive, inviting, compelling. We want to lower our bar on what our expectations of, what we're used to in our hygiene, regimes may not really, it doesn't really hold for someone who has Alzheimer's and dementia. We don't need to bathe that much. We can throw away those social norms and mores that we're used to and try to reframe it for what's healthy emotionally and physically for them, right? And then the dental, I think we need, that's super important. We have to figure out, again, it's on us to make the job easier for ourselves or other caregivers that are helping. So whatever makes it easier for ourselves, that's what we need to do. Tap into their old routines, like you said. Your mom didn't like to shower in the afternoon. She was a morning shower. Don't fight the flow, go with the flow. They want to shower at midnight, they shower at midnight. Who cares, right? I mean, just as long as, and it's okay to, to redirect and redefine what this experience is going to be. However we redefined it, that's okay. We're not being disrespectful. We're respecting the stage that they're at.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And don't be afraid to use creative storytelling, aka lying, lightly to get them to do. I mean, it's okay. We are not deceiving them. We are caregiving them.
We're loving them.
Important.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a perfect example because I know a lot of the millennials that are taking care of parents. We don't want to lie to our mom because you get caught, you're going to get smack upside the head or in trouble. And the way I've convinced younger caregivers that it's not a bad thing to lie, quote unquote, is would you, like, my mom did not remember my dad died. And it got really frustrating because, he was literally a cranky old man. He was kind of a cranky old man before he was old, but he was definitely cranky. He had his own chronic illnesses, and he did not deal with my mom very well. He would get very frustrated very quickly, and they would end up with snarky, rude words to each other. So that was her memory of him. So I'd show up and she'd be like, "Have you seen my husband?" "Nope, I haven't today. Where did he go?" Or, "Oh yeah, he was at the meeting that I just came from," or whatever. Never once did I tell her, "No, he died. Don't you remember?" Do you think that telling her every time she asked me about her husband in that snarky tone of voice that he's like, "No, he's dead"? I mean, do you really think that that's a kind thing to do? No. So don't. And don't look at it as lying. It's just you are in the time of life that they are remembering, and you're just going with that flow. Because I know my aunt had to tell my grandmother that her husband died because my grandmother got very upset that my grandfather ran off with another woman. So my aunt said, "No, he didn't. He died." And of course, then my grandmother's in tears over that. And it's just like, I don't know which situation on that one was worse. That one was tough. But
Well, I'll tell you just real quickly on that, because I have the other side of that. When my stepfather passed away, he was 12 years older than her, and she would always say that was her biggest fear, because they were best friends, and she loved him dearly. And she was like, when Georgie goes, I'm done. And I'd go, Mom, stop that. He's 12 years older than you. We still love you. We're here, blah, blah, blah. And so after the funeral, you know, it was nonstop. Where's Georgie? Where's Georgie? And I would say, Mom, he passed away. What? You didn't tell me? I didn't go to the funeral. Mom, you were at the funeral. You were there. So I used my instinct, knowing my mother, and my gut for her. Now, so this is just, you know, you have to use your own perception of and your own relationship. And I knew, for some reason in my heart, that I would, if I did it with kindness and consistency, I would get her to finally absorb that he had gone. And so that's when she first started living with me. And that's because she was having Groundhog's Day. And I thought, this is just too hard. So she would say to me, where's Georgie? And I had the memorial that I made, right? And I'd say, Mommy, remember Georgie passed away. You were there. It was beautiful. Every time. And I did it gently. And finally, it took about a month or so. And I'm talking like consistency. And she said, where's Georgie? And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she went, he died. And I said, yeah, Mom. And that was the last she ever asked. So sometimes you have to know, you have to know the beast you're working with. You have to know the person. Like, you know your mom, so you knew what was the right way to do it. We have to use our instincts. We are, all of us, not just women, we're all instinctual. We all have instincts. We just don't tap into them, and we need to use those. I knew that the kindest thing for my mom was to get her to absorb it, and to finally get it so she wouldn't be anxious about it anymore. And for you knew what would work for your mom, that was the best way. And I think that we have to go with that, because both are valid. Both ways are valid. There shouldn't be any judgment. It's like, if you need to tell them that they're at the store every time and they'll be home at 5, then that's what you do.
Because they're going to forget.
Yeah.
They will forget.
And I think that's with anything that in your podcast, our podcast, we have all this information and guidelines and tricks and tips and all that stuff, but it's really being in tune with the person that you're caregiving. And saying, okay, I see that, I know that will work for them. I know that will not. So not everything, there's not like one thing, this will work. It's it's getting all the information and just saying what will work for them, and experimenting and
trial and error. Yeah.
That's the best thing to do. And you might find something that you thought, that'll never work with them. And suddenly, whoa. So yeah, it's take all this information and use it and see what happens. That's, what's the worst that can happen? It won't work, so you'll find something.
Yeah. Or you get punched in the face. Who knows?
That could happen.
It happens, you guys. It happens. Jennifer, did we leave anything out that you wanted to say? Anything else?
I just like to think of my podcast and yours is, even if all of these suggestions that we've thrown out today, if you've tried all of them and they don't work, first off, try them again, because you never know. Might work a different day. But I hope that just by listening to our stories and our conversation, that you feel like you've got a podcast supportive friend.
Absolutely. Well, we've made a new podcast supportive friend today in Jennifer Fink.
We did. Thank you, Jennifer, so much. I'm so happy to get to know you more, and I love your spirit, and you're just awesome. And Fading Memories podcast, Jennifer Fink, and she's it doesn't hold back. You can tell. So I love that. There's no room. There's no time and space to hold back. You gotta tell it like it is. What do we always say, Dawn?
Well, as we always say, and how we end every show, is love is powerful, love is contagious, and love conquers all. And we can't wait to see you next time.
If you enjoyed this episode of Love Conquers Alls, please subscribe and rate and share with someone else who may need the information that we provide.